for NPR, and I landed on the station, and it was a singer. I didn't know who she was. Apparently, she's quite big. Her name was Ariana Grande. She's not Angela Lansbury. I had no idea. Well, I listened to her for a little bit, because I did hear a little bit about who this person was. And so I just want you to hear what I heard. This is what I heard right here. She was in. So I went back to Angela Lansbury. And then not long ago, Sandy, you were the one who gave me the recording of Sam Smith, right? Yeah, so I put that on in the car. And, you know, this is something I'd heard, but I had not heard. You know. And I want you to hear what I heard. When I put Sam on the car. I thought, well, maybe I don't have a hearing aid. So I put my hearing aids on, and this is what I heard. Sam was really clear. I went, okay, you know. I put John Reid on. Oh, I understand John Reid. You're looking at me like, John Reid, who was that? Is he on something? Yeah, I you know, it just. It's me. But then I was talking to my friend, dear Sally Kemp, and she said, darling, it isn't you. Where people do not articulate anymore. They just don't articulate anymore, which is I have perfect hearing, and I can't understand anything anybody says. Actually, there's a phenomenon called mondegreen. Are you sure? Have you heard about that? A mondegreen is a lyric or a poem that you can't hear, or that you hear completely differently than what was intended by the composer or by the author. It was coined by a writer named Sylvia Wright, who, as a young girl, heard her teacher read a poem called The Bonny Earl of Murray. And the final lines were, they have slain the Earl of Murray and laid him on the green. Sylvia heard her teacher say, they have slain the Earl of Murray and Lady Mondegreen. And she thought, oh, how romantic. They killed the Earl along with his lover, Lady Mondegreen. It's such a tragic love story. And then she heard the real poem and said, I don't like that one. I like it better the other way. So a mondegreen means something that we heard, but was not really the case. I'm sure, you know, growing up, we all hear the radio or we have recordings, and we think a lyric is a certain way. Like, this is the dawning of the age of asparagus. An elderly lady thought the Bee Gees Staying Alive was heard as, she heard it as Steak and a Knife, Steak and a Knife. Along with Bald-Headed Woman. Someone swore Bob Dylan was singing, "The ants are my friends and blowing in the wind." The ants are now blowing in the wind. Very good picture. The Elton John song, "Hold Me Close, Tiny Dancer," became "Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza." That's lovely. And the Beatles, which we all know, the girl with the kaleidoscope eyes, was heard as "the girl with colitis goes by." My first partner, I was 18 or 19. He broke up with me with the words, "I don't do relationships well, so I think you should find somebody better." I totally misheard him. Say, "I don't do relationships well, and it's all because you're totally unattractive and unworthy." So close. I heard that wrong. Did I? But just to make Lady Mondegreen. Yeah, we hear things differently. We can be told something, but we hear what we're going to hear. It took me decades to know the difference between what this person said and what was really what I was hearing as incorrectly. One time I counseled a woman whose husband came out as gay. And he left her to be with his new mate. And she blamed herself. She said to me, "I should have been more of a woman." I said, "Did you hear what he said?" He said he was gay. How is being more of a woman going to solve that issue? I said, "It's exactly what he didn't want." But she heard something really different. "You're too much of a woman," I told her. I said, you're a woman. He doesn't want that. He woke up and said, "This is not what I'm looking for in my life." He had a discovery about himself, and it wasn't about you. We often hear things on the planet and we think, "Oh, that's about me." It's probably not. 99.9 times of the time, people are not concerned with you. They're talking about themselves. But we take it in as something we need to change about us. She finally heard me after an hour say, "It is not about you. It isn't about you not being enough." The lyric he was singing was not the lyric that she was hearing. And we do that all the time. We are hearing such different things that we need to awaken to the truth of what's being said. Sometimes we go through life, we find that life has steered us onto a new path. And we did not anticipate or want that. And life has somehow gotten in the way of living. And we hear something very different. Then here is something that, here's a journey we're taking, but we're hearing it as punishment. We're hearing it as, "I haven't done my spiritual work right." Or, "I don't belong here on the planet anymore." A marriage goes off track, an illness changes your life forever in one day with the doctor saying, "Here's something that's going on with you." A financial crisis will hit, a loved one passes on, you lose a job that you had for over 30 years. And sometimes all of those things have happened in 1 week. Anybody ever been there? Like, "Oh my, one more thing cannot happen, and then it does." You feel like Job. Like, how much more can anybody take? How do we cope with life when life keeps getting in the way of living it? How much? Why? God, what's happening here? Why am I going through this? What am I not hearing? Am I hearing this wrong? The human condition is one that is extremely baffling by the appearance of it. You're looking at it from the outside, it's completely insane. As kids, we're taught by the world how terrible things are, and you better prepare for the worst. Problem is, even if you prepare for the worst, you're not prepared. Because we can't imagine how things can be. Or when we find ourselves in the middle of it, we don't realize it's way different than I thought it would be. And then we go to church, and we go to a synagogue, and we're told God loves us, but we've been sinful, so God has to punish us. And we went, what did I do? What did I do that was really so horrible? Well, it was Adam and Eve. I never met them. I don't know them. They're fake. They're a story. But no, we hear Adam and Eve sinned, they ate an apple, therefore you are here to suffer, which is totally crazy. Totally crazy. I love what Seeley said that Pam just read from The Color Purple. God gave me a lynch daddy, a crazy mama, a low-down dog of a stepfather. God is a man like all the other men I know, trifling, forgetful, and low down. That's it. No more man God. Forget about it. I'm not writing to God anymore, I'm writing to you. We have to think, who is this God? The God that Seeley was talking about is the God that we all grew up with in some way, shape, or form. But I know nobody here wants any part of this insane idea of what the creative force is. That doesn't work for us. It never worked for us. We have to go along with it, maybe if our family believes it. But now, we have to have a new idea, a new view of God, a new image, a new definition of God. We call God here a creative spirit. The kind of God that we have heard from in the presidential debate. Oh my God. All I'm saying, the God these men and one woman seem to worship is a sociopathic, narcissistic bully who has deep anger issues. God knows why. I mean, he's God. Why would God care what you do in your life? I mean, the one that created this universe doesn't care who you go to bed with. Doesn't care what you do in your life as long as you're happy. So I don't recognize this God the presidential debaters are trying to up one on each other. It sounds more like a devil than a creative spirit. So if that's God, I'd be an atheist too. I'm an atheist to that kind of God. But we know that is not who or what God is. In New Thought spirituality, we know God is pure, loving, prospering, healing, joyful, light, celebrating power of creativity itself. That is what God is. It's the God within you that is joyful, is joy itself, is love itself. Wants you to go through the day happy, fulfilled, creative, loving. So, if this is the view of God that we have and feels right to us, why does divine life seem so distant? Why does this God energy feel so uninvolved with my life? Where does this great energy work for us? How does it work? How can I get it to work for me in a way that doesn't seem to be happening right now? Writer Hermann Hesse in A Child's Heart wrote, "If I were to reduce my feelings and their painful conflicts to a single name, I can think of no other word but dread." It was dread and uncertainty that I felt in all those hours of shattering childhood happiness. Dread of punishment, dread of my own conscience, dread of stirrings in my soul which I considered to be forbidding and criminal. Can anybody relate to that? I certainly could. My whole childhood was filled with dread and anxiety. This came from having an abusive background, but I would wake up every morning going, I wonder what new fresh hell is going to happen today. And generally, something would. Until I grew up and left. I could not wait to grow up and leave. I said, being grown up is going to be so good because it won't involve these people. And it was, and it is. So sometimes you just have to hang in there. But how do you leave the dread and the anxiety behind? That's the challenge. We finally are out on our own, but we have our little brothers and sisters we brought with us from our childhood. Like, what are you doing here? Go back. And we keep them with us until we deal with them, until we bring healing. But many of us still have those dreads or those uncertainties and anxieties that churn on automatically. Dread of getting older in a culture that doesn't even want to acknowledge we have elderly people or older people, let alone respect them. Dread of getting ill and losing our freedom. Dread of being without money. Dread of being unsuccessful. Dread of being alone in the world. Dread of losing one's memory and sense of self. We've seen relatives and friends who have lost them, at least in these physical bodies. We feel so vulnerable on the planet. Talk about ants blowing in the wind. We feel like that sometimes. The truth is, though, you and I are creative, powerful, spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. We are not human, we are divine, and we are taking on this form for a reason. So we're on this journey, a fascinating, at times jarring and often breathtaking amusement park of a ride here on planet Earth. Our sacred mission that every single one of us agreed to before coming here was to do our best to remember that. We knew we would come here and forget we were divine. We have spiritual amnesia in these human forms. And every once in a while there's a stirring, oh right. And the more we come here, the more we study, the more we hear, the more we put it into practice, the more we remember, yes, I am spiritual. I am divine. I have power. And the human is the identity that I currently have, but it is not my true identity. We have to remember that creative spirit, God, the guides, angels, people who have passed on, friends and relatives and family, they're still with us, helping us, whispering to us when we feel lost or completely confused. We just need to get quiet and really hear what they're saying. Sometimes it sounds like intuition. Sometimes like a little voice will say something. That's generally a guide, an angel, a loved one you know is with you. Going, go down that street, not that street. And then you find out later why you had to go down that street. Either to meet something you needed to meet or to avoid something that was going on the other side. So we're not alone in doing this thing called life. Know that you have so much help that's invisible, but with us at all times. That annoying, scary, or devastating life interruption that we go through all the time is actually the divine life within you saying, here's another opportunity you knew in your soul was a holy pop quiz you're going to go through over and over and over again. We go through these holy pop quizzes all the time. And it's our opportunity to say, what do I believe here? Do I believe spirit is stronger? Do I believe I have to figure this out with my brain? Or am I going to let go and let intuition and all the help that I have get me through this? Are you going to try to figure out your health issue by going online and looking at every single cure and trying them all? Or are you going to go to your heart and listen to what Spirit says is the right course for you? Or are you going to keep messing up your relationships by trying to figure it out again or join yet another dating site? Try this one new bar you've heard is really popular. Or are you going to go to your heart and say, Spirit, what would you have me do? Because I know love is mine. Are you going to keep repeating the same patterns of self-abuse over and over, self-sabotage over and over again? Or are you going to say, I'm worth it. I'm a divine being and I am worthy to have the good. Today's the day I create. How am I going to do this and listen to what comes? Your life on planet Earth is your PhD doctorate in creative living. You're here doing doctorate work. And if you could do it here, you don't have to come back here. There are other way more fun plans from what I understand. I'm not this isn't fun, but certainly it can get a little tiring after a while. But we're here to do the work, so you don't have to keep coming back. Oh, let me try this one. High school again? Oh, no, please. No, high school, we've done that. Finished. And now we move on to something a lot more fun. So when you and I finally get that we are here to do the work and to have a joyful time doing it as well, we can gain a divine perspective, which doesn't mean that it's easy, It just means we can step back and see a bigger picture at work. That the health challenge isn't what your life is about. It's just a part of what you're going through. Might be a little detour, maybe a long detour, but you're still moving forward. Your money issue, you may say, oh gosh, I didn't really anticipate I would be without this. It's a pop quiz that says, do I have faith that God is my abundant good? Yes or no? I'm here to learn about the powerful me. I got to choose my life. When I was over the other side, there were so many options I had. I'm going to take one from column B, one, and then when I'm 50, when I'm 60, when I'm 40, I'm going to do this and see how I do. Back over there, he said, I'm going to do great. It's fine. I remember that God's at work. We come here and say, God, who? As Sheila said, who's God? Who's this God you're talking about? Will I rely on the power within, or am I going to try to figure it out with my brain and only be partially successful? I mean, look at the lives of all the people that we admire. Martin Luther King Jr., Helen Keller, Lincoln, Stephen Hawking, Gandhi, Golda Meir, Beethoven, Harriet Tubman, Nelson Mandela. I could keep going on right now about all these wonderful, extremely glowing souls that we know and admire even after many years. What they all had in common was there were incredible odds that they would not succeed. They were all telling them, give up. There's no way you're going to succeed here. And they did. And we remember them because they did. And we know that they were trailblazers. That if they could do it, we could do it too. You have the same creative spirit. You have the same energy, the same strength, the same God in you that they did and do exactly the same. How much am I accessing it? How much am I allowing it to reveal my truth? The only difference is they kept saying yes to life. They kept saying yes even though, like Nelson Mandela, he was in jail for so many years. He kept saying this is not the end of it. They kept going because they knew there was no other option. They were so clear on their divine plan. This is it. What was your divine plan in coming to New York? To be an actor, to be a singer, to be an artist, to do what? Did you give up because the planet said, well, you know, it's not going to work that way? Did you say, oh, I believe them, or did you believe the God that brought you here? Did you believe the creative spirit that says, your good is waiting for you, you just need to quit saying words that are not in alignment with that? Bitterness and defeatism are two energies that shut down our creative energy faster than anything. We have to be aware that those are really the only enemies. The only enemies we have is our thinking. Look at your life. The challenges that you have are only teachers saying, do you really believe this? What do you believe? Do you think you're stronger than this? Do you know that you're stronger than me? The answer is always, always, always yes. I am stronger than any challenge I'm going through. The challenge is a teacher that I call forth. I call the challenge forth, and how am I going to meet it? I'm going to look at it and say, all right, here's the pop quiz. How am I going to meet this today? With faith, or by giving my power away and saying, nope, I'm going to move back to Ohio. Forget about it. I am stronger than a health problem. I'm stronger than money issues. I'm stronger than a relationship challenge. You are a creation of creativity herself. We have to remember that as we go through life. You are a creative, powerful being. You get to call the shots. The universe has to obey the offspring of creative spirit. It says yes to whatever you're putting out there. It says, yeah, sure, that's the kind of life you want? Okay. Oh, my career is never going to work. I just can't make it here in New York. Okay. The universe will always agree with whatever you say. Your word is the final authority, not the challenge. So what words are you using? What words have you been using this week? No, I can't, it's impossible, here's why, here's my reasons. All very logical, I'm sure. But the universe is responding to you by saying, okay, you can't do it, and here's your reasons. Or by saying, yes, I am whole, I am prosperous, I'm successful, I got through my childhood, I got through my divorce, I got through high school, I got through that family issue. And I'm getting through this with every single spiritual tool available. God's got this. And my job is to say yes to that. Don't deny it's happening. We're not Christian Science or anything. We're not denying that we're going through something. We're just denying the thing has any power over me. We go through and say, okay, something's happening here, and I invite it into my life for whatever reason, and now I am moving through it, and I'm learning how powerful and strong I really am. So embrace it, meet it, and you'll get to the other side of it because God is guiding you perfectly in the right and perfect way for you. Life is what I say, what I think, what I feel, and what I'm acting on all the time. So no more misunderstanding the true words that we're hearing. You are a perfect creation. You know it, and now we live it. Take a breath.